Today, we're stepping out of the workshop to talk about something huge, international trade and how it's about to shake up our daily lives. Canada just joined a massive new trade pact with 11 countries, but the US, we're not on the guest list. This move could upend decades of economic partnership, putting iconic American brands and jobs at risk. Let's break down the 7 US giants now facing an uncertain future. First up, Ford, an American icon, but also a company built on a tightly woven US-Canada supply chain. Ford's cars aren't just made in Detroit, they're assembled from parts that crisscross the border, like engines from Windsor and transmissions from Ontario. This cross-border flow is what keeps Ford's assembly lines humming and prices competitive. But with Canada's new trade alliances, that seamless system is under threat. New tariffs or border delays could disrupt just-in-time deliveries, halting production and costing millions. Ford's Oakville plant in Canada and US plants all depend on this integration. If trade barriers go up, the cost of making a Ford skyrockets. That means higher prices for buyers and Ford losing ground to foreign competitors with better access to Canada. Ford faces tough choices: absorb costs, raise prices, or rethink its entire North American operation. The risk: shuttered plants, lost jobs, and a fractured partnership that's powered both economies for decades. The gears that once turned together could grind to a halt. This isn't just about cars, it's about the future of American manufacturing. Ford's story is a warning for every US brand tied to Canada. The new trade reality could force a total overhaul of how and where Ford builds its vehicles. The stakes, nothing less than the survival of an American legend. And Ford's not alone. Next, General Electric. GE, their high-tech products rely on a seamless US-Canada supply chain. Jet engine parts, medical equipment, and more move back and forth for specialized work. A single GE engine might cross the border multiple times before it's finished. New trade barriers mean tariffs and delays on million-dollar components. Even a short customs holdup can stall entire production lines, costing GE contracts and reputation. If Canada's new trade deals favor other countries, GE's edge in efficiency and innovation evaporates. Competitors from Europe or Asia could swoop in, offering faster, cheaper alternatives. GE would face a nightmare: duplicate facilities, higher costs, or lost market share. Their North American strategy, built on integration, could unravel overnight. For GE, delays and extra costs aren't just inconvenient, they're existential threats. The US-Canada partnership is the backbone of their success. Break that, and GE's future gets a lot less certain. Now, Kraft Heinz, think ketchup, mac and cheese, pantry staples in every home. Their business treats the US and Canada as one giant market, with factories and distribution centers serving both. If Canada slaps tariffs on US food products, Kraft Heinz is in the crosshairs. Suddenly, a bottle of Heinz ketchup from Ohio could cost more than a rival brand from a new trade partner. Canadian retailers won't hesitate to swap out pricier US products for cheaper alternatives. Even small changes, like new labeling rules, can create chaos and extra costs. Kraft Heinz would have to choose go, eat the costs, raise prices, or lose shelf space. For a company built on scale and thin margins, that's a recipe for disaster. The risk? Losing a huge chunk of the Canadian market overnight. The brands we grew up with could vanish from Canadian shelves. This isn't just a business problem, it's a fight for survival in a market they helped build. Kraft Heinz's North American system could be split in two, and the fallout would hit both sides of the border. Procter & Gamble, PG, makes everything from Tide to Pampers, and their North American supply chain is a logistics masterpiece. Factories and distribution centers serve both countries as one market, keeping costs low and shelves stocked. New trade barriers? Suddenly, trucks full of products get stuck at the border and costs soar. Delays ripple through the system, factories slow down, stores run out, and customers get frustrated. P&G faces a tough call: build new factories in Canada or split their supply chains. Both options are expensive and inefficient. The economies of scale that made P&G a powerhouse would crumble. Higher costs mean higher prices, and foreign competitors could undercut them in Canada. The seamless system P&G built over decades could become a logistical nightmare. The promise of affordable, reliable products? At risk. PG's North American advantage could disappear. The new trade reality threatens to break the backbone of their business, and Canadian consumers and American workers would both feel the pain. For P&G, the stakes are massive. Boeing, America's aerospace giant, relies on Canadian partners for critical aircraft components, landing gear, avionics, fuselage sections. Many are made in Canada and shipped to US assembly lines. This partnership is built on open trade and decades of trust. If new tariffs hit, the cost of building a Boeing jet could soar. In a cutthroat market, even a small price hike can push airlines to buy from Airbus instead. Boeing can't just swap suppliers. Canadian firms are world leaders, and qualifying new ones takes years. The supply chain is locked in, so Boeing would have to absorb the costs or risk losing sales. That means less money for innovation and fewer American jobs. The US could lose its edge in aerospace leadership. Trade friction with Canada hands a huge advantage to global competitors. For Boeing, this isn't just turbulence, it's a direct threat to their future. The stakes: America's place at the top of the aviation world. Coca-Cola, an American icon, runs a North American distribution network that treats the US and Canada as one market. Ingredients, packaging, and finished drinks flow freely across the border to keep costs down. New tariffs or regulations? Suddenly, the cost of a can of Coke jumps. Separate production lines, new labels, and ingredient taxes all add up. Coke faces a choice: absorb the costs, raise prices, or lose customers to cheaper competitors. Price matters in the beverage aisle. If Coke gets expensive, shoppers switch. And it's not just Coke. Hundreds of brands, from water to juice, are affected. The efficiency that made Coca-Cola a global powerhouse could unravel. The secret to their success, distribution scale, gets a lot more expensive. For Coke, the new trade reality threatens their entire North American playbook, and Canadian consumers could see their favorite brands disappear or cost more. Finally, Walmart, the world's largest retailer built on the promise of everyday low prices. Their North American operation is a single massive ecosystem, moving billions in goods from US suppliers to Canadian stores. This cross-border flow is what keeps prices low and shelves full. New tariffs or paperwork? Walmart's costs explode, and their razor-thin margins vanish. They can't just absorb hundreds of millions in new expenses. The choice: raise prices for Canadians or lose profits in a key market. Delays at the border mean empty shelves and unhappy customers. The efficiency that gives Walmart its edge would erode overnight. Every product, from TVs to cereal, would get more expensive. American suppliers would lose out too, as Walmart cuts back. The logistics miracle that is Walmart depends on open borders. This new trade reality threatens to close them. For Walmart, and for millions of shoppers, the impact would be immediate. The promise of low prices, suddenly it's at risk. So there you have it. Ford, GE, Kraft Heinz, P&G, Boeing, Coca-Cola, and Walmart. These brands are woven into our daily lives, but now face a new, uncertain future as Canada shifts its trade alliances. This isn't just about profits, it's about jobs, communities, and the price of everyday goods. The North American market we've relied on for decades could be fracturing. The big question: how will these companies adapt, and what does it mean for all of us? Which brand do you think is most at risk? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time.